All right, welcome in everybody. It is Monday, July 22nd, 2024. Let's go ahead and jump into it here. Obviously, we've got a new Democratic candidate, right? So kind of interesting to see how the market reacts to all that. That was interesting this weekend. Let's go ahead and jump back to Friday here. Take a quick look at what happened in the markets. We were talking about seeing a nice double bottom off of the lows coming into Friday there, and it looked like there was a clue for a bounce, but it was obviously a very heavy market, so we needed to see price get through a couple key levels before we were really counting on the bullish side of things. And sure enough, out of the open, the bulls couldn't even get through the close of the day before. So it held there. It held the back end of the next roadmap level, and just became a very heavy market. So should have been pretty clear what to do there once the market started to make its merry way lower. Well, let's take a look at the detail. Excuse me, I'm having a little burp there. So right out of the open, you actually get the first tag of the 200 off the back end of the VWAP as well in a pullback. Right, so there's the crossover, there's price falling down below VWAP, and there's the first tag of the 200 within the first couple seconds of the open. So you could have tried that with big divergence, and you would have actually grabbed a quick 10-point trade right out of the open there if you got in off the 200, right? So it was almost exactly a 10-point trade right out of the open for anybody who wanted to try it. And then you can see did not last very long. So we came down off VWAP in the 200, held the low of the overnight there that it had pulled back to, and came up and kind of threw a little bit of a curveball there because it did look like price was going to attempt to break out. But then within a couple moments, it just went ahead and failed back. So this was like a little peek up through the previous daily close, only to fail back out. And then it became a little bit of a stair step. So it kind of came back and gave a kiss of the previous daily close, came down, gave a kiss off the back end of our support and resistance level, although it did miss it by one tick. And as you can see here, still trying to kind of hold above the next roadmap level, but finally comes back below it. And then there's a nice kiss off the back end of it. And we begin this nice sell-off. So not only did you have a textbook trade right out of the open here, right? Crossover, price falling below VWAP, and the first tag of the 200 to the tick. So in this case, 0 ticks of risk, a 10-point fade right out of the open. And then once price started to fail and get through the low of the morning, and we got the orientation of the moving averages once again, getting that crossover, the 34 down below the 200, and price being down below VWAP, and then you had your next opportunity to try that short off the 200 there with bearish divergence, and you would have captured a beautiful sell right to, and hopefully if you did get short from 55.80 here, you knew to take profit just in front of 55.70 in case they did use the roadmap level as a support. And sure enough, we get probably the biggest bounce of the morning to the tick right off our next roadmap level. So as you can see, it quite literally is just ping pong back and forth between all of our levels. It just kind of blows me away that we hold things like this so beautifully. So not only did they come down and bounce near to the tick off this roadmap level, but we had another roadmap level just a couple points below it at 67. And what did they do? They came right down and got another bounce, one tick through that level. So you had two opportunities to buy the roadmap levels and make at least 5 points to the upside. I think this was at least a 10-point bounce. And then this was just about a 5, 6, 7, 8-point bounce, so close to 10. So great opportunities to short the back end of the roadmap levels as it was selling off, and a great opportunity to buy the roadmap levels. If you were looking, even if you bought this level as we were pulling back into it, you still got yourself a good 5-point trade, right? So whether you bought or you sold, great opportunities. And then they came down through the next roadmap level and then came back and kissed it again, but could not hold below, and then we got this little bounce out, right? So it came back up, held the 200, and tried to hold up above the previous daily low for a couple moments, only to drop back out, and then we just got a continuation to the downside. And look at how relevant our scaffolding level is. There's a reason we have these on the chart. The reason we have these on the chart is because we know that these are the areas in the chart that make sense for price to chop back and forth inside of, right? If you zoom out, you go up to the higher time frames, that right there, 55, 60, give or take a couple ticks, is right where we're going to see the market make these big rotations. Same thing down around 55.41 here off that next roadmap level. And then we have the bifurcation here with our support and resistance. So you can see how many times we just kind of traveled back and forth from all these roadmap levels. This was a major swing. Price came down once, twice, 3 times. You could have bought that and made some decent cash on that. And then fading the back end of this level as we were failing. And it wasn't a straight line, but as we failed back down below, you had the opportunity to get short off the back end of that to make some decent money as well, right? So let's look. Then they came back up at the end of the day and came right to the next roadmap level and failed off that. There's the crossover of the moving averages. There's your first tag of the 200, another decent opportunity. And then at the end of the day here, you can see it just came right back. And for the 4th or 5th time, you could have faded the back end of our scaffolding level, right? So in my opinion, some really good opportunities here. The high of the day being nearly the previous daily close, so nearly nailed the high of the day with our roadmap levels on Friday and nearly nailed the low, right? So we had a swing at 55.44 quarter on the chart for a couple days now. Sure enough, they came right to it, and the low of the day, as you can see, was basically that level. That brings us here into Sunday's Globex session, coming into Monday morning here. And as you can see, the bulls are obviously in power right now. There was once again a good opportunity to try and buy the VWAP out of the Globex Open yesterday, just didn't go anywhere. And then we got to pull back to kind of tag the close of Friday there. And ever since then, it's just been kind of a rally to the upside. You can see all the pullbacks right into the 200 once, twice, 3 times, even having trouble. Well, this wasn't on the chart here actually. Remember that our Hopeful does not print until 6 a.m. Eastern time. So it didn't print until price was all the way up here. So just ignore that. That wasn't there at the moment, right? So we had the previous daily close down at the low. We had our roadmap level here at 60 and the 67. And you can see how much it just kind of chops. Then it gets up through it, comes back, holds above it, gets back below it, holds below it. And then finally we break out. And you can see that they held on all the pullbacks right to the 200 moving average, in some cases to the tick, right? And from there, it's just been an aggressive rally coming closer to the open right now, with every pullback being defended right off that fast moving average, right? This is why I tell you that fast moving average is your best friend in a strong directional move, because that becomes the area where you get the bounces. So that brings us into this morning's pre-market. We're going to jump up to the higher time frames, see what they're showing for today.